Welcome to the Sporty Friend. I'm Dani Bellamy, your host. And if you are new to the channel and you'd like to see more content like this, make sure that you click on the button of subscribe. Barcelona Femení is one of the most successful and profitable women's team in the world. Yet, this summer, they were forced to sell key players because of the men's team's financial mismanagement. And they started the season with only 17 first-team members as instead of their regular 22 experienced players. This is because the men's team has an enormous financial debt that is not a surprise to anyone. It's like exact 1.35 billion euros. Yeah, you heard it, billions. So how it works. Barcelona, both men and women, play in a league in Spain called La Liga. La Liga has a rule that basically says every club's budget should cover every part of the club. So the men's, the women's, and the youth team. So all of these three are financially tight. Clubs need to be very organized to administrate this money. Not equally necessarily, in my opinion, but responsibly. And La Liga also has a cap. That means that clubs cannot spend whatever amount of money they want. But it's no secret that for years, clubs as big as Barça or Real Madrid haven't been following this rule, and they always end up in financial problems, selling or putting players in loans to other clubs. That's the reality. And this summer, Barça Femení had to sell more expensive of their players to meet the club's cap instead of the men's doing that. You see where the problem is? This team, Barcelona Femení specifically, has worked from the ground up to be the most successful team in the world. They have sold out stadiums, they reach finals, titles, sold out merch. Most of their players are World Cup champions. And now they enter the season with only of their 17 experienced players. And there's basically no time to put together nowhere near a team that can meet up with these standards that they already have with those 22. And all because of the men's financial fiasco. Barça Femení have a budget of around 11 million last I checked, still growing, but that's less than the salary of even one lower paid male player. Just to put you in perspective. La Liga now is reviewing its financial rules that are currently bundle spending across men's, women's, and youths. But that's a very slow step that they're doing. So until then, the season already started. So imagine being punished for someone else's mistakes, even when you're doing everything right. That doesn't seem really fair, does it? It's not just Barcelona. Juventus women cut budgets after Juventus men also financial fiasco. So women's team suffered. In Lyon, despite being the OG women's football club and the most dominating team in the world for decades, OLG Group's financial struggles forced reductions on the women's side. Manchester United's another example. The women's growth has been held back because the owners focus mainly on the men's team. So there is a systematic problem. For example, in Europe, most women's teams are not standalone businesses, meaning no autonomy and no protection because they cannot manage their own money. Even if they grow, their money often goes back into the men's system and not their own reinvestment. I think this is because they are a new part of the business. I mean, women's football only turned professional around 2019, so in most countries, they needed the men's money. But there's always a but. It's not all sad because a really cool new model is happening in England. The Women's Super League is building a more independent financial framework. For example, they are centralizing broadcasting deals separated from the men's league. So all the money that comes from TV rights will go directly to them. Clubs like Arsenal, Chelsea women, Manchester City women are bringing in their own sponsors, so they're not linked to the men, so all the money comes in for them. They have better commercial strategy, so the WSL revenue has doubled in recent years. The WSL club's total revenues surged from 48 million in 2020-23 season to 65 million, so that's like 34%. And they forecast that revenue will hit 100 million by next season due to the Euros momentum. So I think that's something to celebrate and to have your eyes on how the system can turn into the women's profit. In the US, where women's football is very successful, Angel City FC or San Diego Wave, these are standalone women's clubs backed by their own investors, by the match day profits and direct investment. This is why women's football in England, or the WSL, is growing faster than any other of the European giants. But in Spain, women's football profits still remain very vulnerable. Before, women had zero independence, zero budget, and now fans are buying shirts, they're filling stadiums, brands are interested. But unless women's football is given financial autonomy, they will always risk being collateral damage without any protection. So if Barça Femení, the most dominant women's club in the planet, cannot escape men's financial mistakes, what does that say for the rest of the women's football? I think the question here would be, is it time for clubs like Barça Femení to go independent to protect progress in women's football? Can they do it? Can they do something against La Liga? Can they work it out separately from the men's club with the federation or with the league? I was gonna say La Ligue. So I don't know. I think that is something to open the conversation of the turning point of women's football. I feel like we reach and then we ran into a wall and then we solve that problem and then we reach again another step and then another wall happens and we have to figure out. So we're at that point where the clubs now have to decide how they want to manage, and the leagues, like for example in England, the league is separate from the men. They have the Women's Super League and the men's play Premier League. Different systems, different organisms, different bodies. In Spain, it's not. So let me know what you think in the comments. And until then, I'm Dani Bellamy, your sporty friend, and I'll see you next time.